Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I post videos on opioid management and pain management related topics. If you like my video, don't forget to subscribe. Let's start out with a clinical situation. Imagine, this is your very first overnight shift working on a new admission. You find out the patient is on chronic opioid for pain, and the patient is having nausea and vomiting, so you keep the patient nothing by mouth. Now, you probably run into a clinical situation with the opioid. You likely have to give an opioid through IV for the chronic pain now the patient is NPO. The new IV dose cannot be too aggressive or it can risk sedation. On the other hand, the dose cannot be too low either or the patient may suffer or even have withdrawal. Here comes the million-dollar question: how much opioid to give? I want to start off by sharing one of the best resources I've come across in opioid conversion. It's called Demystifying Opioid Conversion Calculations, written by Dr. Lynn McPherson. It includes so many examples and it really puts opioid conversion in perspective. She also made it super interesting so you won't feel like reading a dry, boring textbook at all. I have attached a link below if you would like to check it out. When it comes to the concept of opioid conversion, there are a few assumptions we are taking if we look into how the opioid conversion studies are being done. In general, patients are given a certain amount of reference opioid such as morphine, either as oral or intravenous. And patients are also given the opioid of interest. And patients are then asked to provide how similar of a pain relief compared to the reference. If your brain is on fire now, you can rightfully be so, because now we know there's a lot of subjectivity and interpatient variability as we convert from one opioid to another. Just to give you some examples of tools out there, there's the opioid calculator from Global RPH, Practical Pain Management, and CDC also has an opioid conversion table. And depending on which tool you use, it may give you a slightly different dose range. Let's return to our case. Let's pretend the patient is on oxycodone 10 mg 3 times daily, and we want to convert to IV hydromorphone. If we use the practical pain management calculator, we will get 2.3 mg. If we use global RPH on the other hand, we will get 2.25 mg. As we can see here, the dose is more like a range than an absolute number. And this is also the dose before we factor in any cross-tolerance. Feel free to comment below and share with me what's your experience with cross-tolerance, because that's another discussion on its own. Finally, I want to wrap up with a few pro tips in opioid conversion. First, always make sure to get the exact dose from patient instead of basing it off of the chart. Let's say the chart says the patient is on hydrocodone 5 mg every 4 hours as needed. Intuitively, we will get a total dose of 30 mg per day. But that 30 mg means the patient is literally taking it every 4 hours on the dot, which includes waking up from sleep to take a dose. Is it possible? Sure, but it's a good idea to always double check. Second, write out the math. This is especially helpful if you're a visual person like myself, and it also keeps things more organized. Third, the final dose has to make clinical and numeric sense. In general, the potency of commonly used opioids is as follows. When we convert from a less potent opioid to a more potent one, we should expect the number of the more potent opioid to be numerically less compared to the less potent one. Let's say if you're converting from oxycodone 30 mg, which is less potent compared to hydromorphone. If your resultant number is higher, you know something is not right and you should go back and check what went wrong in the steps. The last tip is probably the most important one. Knowing any conversion we get is an approximation at best after all. We have to monitor very closely and see how the patients are responding to the new opioid. This is especially true when it comes to complex opioids such as methadone. I hope you find the video helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.